in my mind I have this like short films that track that person's metamorphosis, and I basically with my photo shoot I try to follow through this metamorphosis, and then in the end, and I don't know what's gonna happen, I just have suggested environments that I create, like imaginary realistic environments, if you say, and then I ask my friend who's dressed up closely to that person character in my mind, and I'm telling him, well, you're this person, you're going through emotional transformation, and let's see where it leads us. And sometimes I even put on the music that I think is right, so I don't have to even say too many words. He gets it, he gets the mood, or she gets it, she gets the mood, and it's a collaborative process. And then sometimes you get things out of it that surprise you. You go further than you thought you would go. So.
Funny one, because there are compositions that I had done. I mean, this is a totally different question in some ways, because really it's at least half his music at that point. I mean, he's a professional, and his job is to arrange things. And if you gave him 4 chords and gave him this rhythm and this is the melody, I mean, he's going to do it. And obviously, you can do that extremely well musically, or you can do it so it's totally dead. But actually, the interesting part of that for me was that some of the songs he really had quite altered. And, you did have to think, is this really a version of the song? Is this still my song? It's like a cover version. There are cover versions. Or has he brought something to it that has fundamentally changed the nature of it? Now it is actually, obviously it's collaborative no matter what. And, it'll be credited, whatever. But some you kind of had to think, maybe this is really not my music anymore,
Yeah, and to me, art is always a collaboration. It's some people do it just for themselves and they don't even show it in the gallery. For me, it's a collaborative experience, and I like to treat my artwork, my personal artwork, from 2 points of view, where I'm the creator, and it's my responsibility to leave a little bit of creative space for the person who is going to be looking at my work. Let them not to be too suggestive, because I don't want to confuse people. I want to let them know, hey, this is my story. Do you want to take a look at it? And if it's interesting enough for them, they'll take a look at it, and maybe in their mind they make up a thing or two, and they will feel, they were involved as well, in a way.
And anyone who plays guitar knows that thing. You pick a guitar and the same stuff comes out of your fingers. It's just boring and familiar, and it's just too familiar. I mean, I work with photographs that I don't take for the same reason, because you have to find something in them that works. You have to have some kind of new and different relationship with it to make it work. And the way that he altered them, even though chord structures have a very powerful direction and psychological, characterful content, but they can be manipulated and changed and harmonized and whatever. And the things that he did alter them. They still felt like mine, whatever sort of emotional tone was behind it. But he brought something new to it, something more complicated, and something that was in its own way kind of a complication and a problem that I then, when I was listening, had to find my way into. Some songs got better, some got worse, some I felt like he'd missed the point of it. But all those things kind of activated things that for me were inactive. And he's a wonderful musician, honestly, as well. That was a lot of it. And that, you could easily give it to other people and they would do something, rote and familiar or unimaginative.
When I work on my personal pieces, I have stages of my work, and most of work happens before I touch the drawing pad or canvas. And in public, it's almost like this huge chunk of work is skipped. There is a model. Yeah, I can draw and get the likeness of the model, or do some interesting marks or experiment with things. I would perceive it more as a learning experience, mark making, or whatever the goal is of a certain exercise. But there is not much inspiration in it for me, because the initial inspiration comes from all the work that's done before. So I'm kind of treating it as an exercise. That's why I don't think I can give anything of value to those who are watching, and that's why I prefer sitting down with people and just talking and listening to them and suggesting my opinion as one of many that might help them or inspire them, or they would consider it irrelevant. So that's the reason why I don't think I'm a good person for live drawing demos.
That's a very interesting one, because you'll find a lot of debate amongst artists. You know, do you do your art for yourself? Do you do it for others? I think there's a general consensus that first it's yourself. I think it's a balance. I know it's so boring to say, but I truly do, because like I think art is still a communication. I still think that you need an audience. I think like art created in a vacuum for yourself, by yourself, that's fine. But we are in some ways like performers, you know, like visual performers is what we are. Some people will do a dance, some people will compose music. We make visuals. And I feel like it's important to have that. It's not everything, but it is important.
I never try to express myself, though, with a superpower, where what I do with the superpower is having fun. Like, I enjoy the process of painting and having fun there. This is cool, I'm enjoying it. The final product, I don't care. I'm not trying to tell anything. Maybe with animation I'm trying to tell a story, but the process of doing the animation, the process of making the movie is the joy for me. You know, having like a piece out there is also the joy for me to watch it, for it's like, wow, this is cool. But my main goal is not to express myself and to tell things to people. No, I'm not agree with that. I think that I actually like to express myself and to tell things to people. You say we are full of contradictions, but that's good.
Yeah.
But that's good, because I'm actually agree with both. Like, I'm not doing things just to tell to people, but at the same time, it's like, actually, I like to tell things to people. So it's good. I think that the resume of this talk is that we have no clue of anything, and we are full of contradictions. And that's good as well.
I feel like art's the same. It's a form of communication. And yeah, I think it's important to share that, you know? You also don't, again, it's a balance, because like you can't solely focus on sharing it, because you lose yourself. But I think it is still important to share what you do with people, you know, because otherwise, like, then you're just, I feel like you'll miss out on like a very important part of being an artist, which is that, you know, community coming together. You see it specifically in like gallery shows. Like, there's a certain feeling I get when I see a room full of my work and people standing in front of it and really trying to figure it out, really trying to see what it means to them. And sometimes they'll dismiss it, or sometimes they'll stay there for a while and just really, really look at it. And that's very special to me. And they'll come out of it with their own meaning, right? Like, I'll never talk to them and tell them what it is that I painted and why. But they'll come out of it with their own meaning. They've found a story. They found something that they can relate to. And it creates a very interesting human experience to have that from something completely visual. No words, no nothing, just visual alone. And that's a very powerful part of being an artist, of any kind of art. To not have that is the equivalent of you talking to yourself alone in a room for days and days and days and days with no one talking to you back. It'll kind of be unfulfilling and almost insanity.
I don't know. I guess that it happened to you and it happened to everybody. Everybody has really, really nice ideas, and like, okay, yes, I believe on this, but maybe we have some other nice idea that is contradicting as well the other idea. So, I think that maybe what I was saying before maybe is contradicting a little bit this, because I was saying that I'm the center of the universe, but at the same time I'm saying respect each other, have sympathy, and at the same time I'm saying that every point of view is valid and we need to respect it. It's like, I think that either I'm not smart enough, which is absolutely possible, and I know my limitations, and either I didn't read enough, and most likely I think that the reason is like I have no clue of anything, because if you start thinking about these such a big questions as we are talking now, I am the center of the universe, do everything exist after I die, do everything exist when I close my eyes, I don't know, I cannot answer.
I think we have a sense of always being curious. We're curious creatures.
Yeah, but it has to stand out.
Yeah, it has to stand out in some way. It has to capture someone's attention. But I feel like with work that is honest, and with work that comes from a place of honesty, we're just like, I'm interested in this, and I'm going to give it my best, And after a certain, I'm very much in love with technical aspect of art as well, because it allows you to communicate something so powerful because you have the tools to be able to communicate it. And I feel like if something is technically capable and is also saying something, it's almost impossible to not notice. Like sometimes, even in Lisbon, like walking down the street, there's some graffiti that you have to stop and say, wow, that's beautiful. What does this do? And that inspires you. And in some ways, that's one of the main reasons I absolutely find art so important. Because it stops you. It stops you from whatever it is that you're doing, and it makes you have an aesthetic moment. It makes you go, wow, this is beautiful. Or wow, this is touching. Or wow, this makes me think. And it forces a person to kind of step outside from the mundane, utilitarian, every day-to-day thing, to consider something else, to consider either beauty or thought or something like that. And I feel like you can do that with art, and when you do it, it's powerful. I feel like, again, the easiest way to get to that point is by being technically efficient. It's kind of like the same thing. It's like listening to a beautiful melody. You feel something, especially if it's from someone capable, from someone who knows what they're doing, someone who knows how to play a violin. It will always move you. If you do it, it's not the same for someone who is not capable, then you'll hear, and it ruins it. It doesn't say anything because they're unable to say it. They don't have the words to say it. It's a language. It's just without words.
Remember when I was a kid now when I think back, it's like, wow, you were thinking crazy things. But I was thinking that I was maybe 3-4 years old, I don't remember. But I had this thought for years and years and years that I was thinking that if I close my eyes and open them quickly, I'm going to see the real thing. And I always was thinking that the real thing was a shitty cave, that it was made of like brown mold or something. And I was always trying. And I was a kid and I was like trying to surprise them, the person or the people that is there, right? And it's like, wow, that's pure science fiction. That's Matrix, basically. That's the Matrix. And kids, they have these very, very strange ideas that they are sometimes very, very brilliant. So I gather all these ideas that they contradict, but they are nice. And I love to enjoy that particular idea, that moment. And maybe when I am discussing some other idea, maybe I'm contradicting that idea. But that doesn't mean that I don't like this idea as well.
But not just that, but like in the art world too, we don't talk about subjects like this nearly enough in the public forum, in a format that'll reach people. I think it's because it becomes easier to not ponder these things and to just be like, let's focus solely on like the technical, because we do have to focus on the technical unfortunately, most of it is teaching people how to speak that language. But there is something to be said about really human conversations that kind of students are always like, wow, I didn't know that I thought I was the only one that got scared. I thought I was the only one that felt this way. And you're like, no, man, everybody does.
Exactly. How can you describe that where you see green, I see green, and it's the same color? And maybe somebody can say, no, but at least you can define it. You can say red is a warm color. But maybe you have seen where you see red, you always have seen blue. And for you, warm is blue, because you've seen blue all the time. This is perfect. For painting, is perfect, because it doesn't matter. You're just going to paint. And even you can say, okay, so when you see red, but you see green, why don't you paint green? Because I am actually painting the red that I see. I'm totally agree with that. I'm totally agree with that. That's impossible to prove that that we see the same colors, feel the same way. It's even possible that we don't even see the same. Perhaps we are monsters. But don't you think, like, imagine that where I see two eyes, you see three. But for you, three eyes, they've been always my two. So it's impossible to share the same point of view unless you get inside of my eyes. It's very cool. It's very cool. And it's very complex. I mean, I don't know if you guys are going to put this in, but it's fucking very difficult to understand. I cannot even process it myself.
And that's why I said, like, you can't, like I said, if you put somebody in front of a white wall and paint them, immediately as I said that, I just thought of a bunch of people who do it awesome. And it's like, okay, that's them. And, all these confessions we've been going through, all the artists get to the same point where they're like, nah, this is how it should be, this is how it should be. Shit, okay, no, there are many other ways to do it. And it's almost like you have to have this, like, signing release. Like, no, I'm not, and, I know there's other artists, even ones I admire, who do it completely differently. But you can only talk passionately about something you know very well, and that's you. But it's always good to hear that every artist also says, I know I'm not 100% right, and you shouldn't take my advice all the time, and there are many ways to figure stuff out. This is just my take on it.
I don't have enough knowledge to know if my ideas are such a truth. I can feel them and I can believe them, and maybe with in this particular time of my life, I have these ideas and I believe them and I like them. When I was a kid and I have 3 years old, I was certain and I really believed that if I open my eyes quickly, I will discover the whole thing. Now, obviously, I don't believe it, but I cannot prove it either, because maybe it's true.
And again, everything that I say is very personal, and I saw people saying, like, artists, successful artists who love what they're doing, saying completely opposite things. So I just don't want this to come across as I think all people should do that.
I think that what I'm saying is that I'm full of shit.